When Mark Athens loses the mother of his children, it leaves a gaping hole in his life. When he meets a woman who seems to fill the void,
Charity drew me in personality-wise.
he'll quickly discover he's just the Mark she's been looking for.
She's a master manipulator, and she's literally out to take all that she can.
My name is Mark Athens. I live in Willis, Texas, and I'm a surgical first assistant licensed through the state of Texas. Kelly was my first love. I spent 22 years of my life with a woman that I love dearly. I feel the void in my heart was something that I longed for.
It's been almost 4 years since the death of Mark's first wife.
I met Charity online. Charity said she was a Texas registered nurse. She worked with elderly patients and terminally ill patients. That made me say, wow, she's got to be pretty special if she can do that. We did have a chance to have a date, going to a local restaurant. Charity had told me that she had been married twice and that she had 4 daughters. She had been divorced from her second husband for almost 10 years. Charity had told me that his name was Bart Parcham, that she didn't have anything to do with Bart.
It only takes a few weeks for Mark to fall in love. Now he introduces Charity to his closest friends, his neighbors Gina and James, who are living with him while their house is being renovated.
Mark said, hey, I'd like you guys to meet her, see what you think. So I was like, oh, yay, that's so nice. She was very bubbly and I liked her.
She looked very normal to me, just a normal average person.
And he comes to us and mentions, hey, I've asked Charity to move in with us. And James and I, are like, okay. Charity really took over the house. Like, these are my things, and I'm gonna cook this. And I thought, she just wants us out of here.
That weekend, I wanted to go somewhere with James, Gina, and Charity, and I could take a little mental health break and, I guess, reconnect.
James and I were a bit reluctant, but we were like, okay, we'll do it. James snaps a picture of us at the table, and it was, oh, I got a picture of us. I'm posting it on Facebook, and we're like, oh, cute.
Moments after posting the photo, James gets a phone call from an old and trusted friend.
James comes back to the table, and he's very, freaked out looking. And then James kind of nudges me while Mark and Charity are talking about something. And he says, Mike Flores says, Mark needs to run from Charity.
The next morning, it's James's chance to get Mark alone.
They sit down, and James begins to just unload all this material that Mike Flores, explained to him.
Charity liked getting older guys to fall for her and then getting what she wanted out of them, whether it was dinner or jewelry or, taking care of some of her bills. I told James to tell Mark to get out now while you can, before this guy just loses everything. James said Mark's response was, well, that may have been her in her past. That's not the way she is now.
And now, Gina and James are the ones who feel unwelcome.
Charity had told me that James had tried to sell her drugs. She had told me also that James had tried to come on to her. I was upset, of course.
And at that point, James and I were like, we need to immediately get out of Mark's house. We get everything done quick, and we move where we needed to be next door.
Everything really started going into high gear within a matter of weeks. I got down on one knee and asked Charity if she would marry me. And I guess I'm expecting something that, okay, yeah, and then come give me a big hug and a kiss and oh my gosh, but it's subdued. She looked at me and she said yes, she would, and she told me she didn't want any of her family knowing. Nobody. Daughters, nobody. Charity had pushed it, wanting to get married in South Dakota at Sturgis. So we went to South Dakota. We got married in City Hall, and we go back. The people at the resort that we stayed at had drinks for us there, and that was it. That was the end of the night. What a wedding night, huh? Nothing else happened. Actually, nothing else happened for the next 6 days. On the way back, I had 20-something hours of driving to think, and the whole time back, I felt like I'd made one hell of an error.
Mark sets his concerns aside and commits himself to supporting his new family. But it's a strain.
With Charity and her daughters, I had to pay for vehicles, I had to pay for furniture, I had to pay for apartments, I had to pay for college tuitions, cell phones. One day, Charity said she had to go see Paige and pick up some things that she had. She left at like 8, 9 in the morning. I would come home from work about 4 or 5-ish in the afternoon. She wasn't here. I'd text her and couldn't get a reply out of the text. She just disappeared off the face of the earth. Gone. And that's when Dakota started looking into Charity's background.
I went through online, found some stuff about her, and she has a criminal record for a theft by check. She said she was a nurse.
You can't be a nurse with a criminal record. You just can't do it. I called the Texas State Nursing Board. There wasn't a Charity Parcham or a charity or anything with her birthday in there. I started looking at Charity's cell phone records because the phones were in my name. And it was kind of funny because the morning that she disappeared off the face of the earth, there was a phone call made on her cell phone, and guess whose phone it went to? Mark Parcham's. I confronted Charity about this. I said, "You're calling your ex-husband 3 or 4 times a day?" She blew up. "What are you doing tracking me? You don't trust me?" And I told her straight up, "Hell no, I don't trust you." She was pissed off and she just took off. After about 10 hours, Charity came back and it was like, "Well, let's talk. I can fix this, I can do right." I went and said, "Okay, you can't say I'm not gonna try."
And Charity is in it 100% too. For Dakota's birthday, she organizes a trip they can all 3 enjoy together.
Dakota wanted to go to Fredericksburg. It's a 4 to 5 hour drive there. Got there in Fredericksburg at the B&B, and then Charity started a conversation that went really south on me, real quick. Charity's talking about her past life, about how one of her boyfriends had made her be a drug mule down in Mexico and do some real wild, crazy stuff. And this is not something that Dakota needed to be hearing. I would think she was trying to bait me into something to where it would get physical, and then she could have me arrested for assault. So it's a he said, she said type situation. I said, "Dakota, we got to go home." Dakota and I pulled in around 4 in the morning. The dogs were gone. All of those vehicles were gone. And I knew what had happened then. I'd been set up. Me and Dakota walk into my house and see a lot of things missing. I mean, a lot of things.
Hours earlier, sometime around midnight, Gina and James had been alerted to trouble.
Champ keeps barking. And James goes outside and he sees a U-Haul truck and there's a man and some girls there. They were going into the house, bringing things out and putting them into the U-Haul.
The next morning, I woke up and my phone is going crazy. I'm getting alerts from my bank, sending me notices of charges right and left.
Mark has reached his limit.
I got a local attorney down here in Conroe. I filed for a divorce. This time I'm going full force, locked and cocked. I'm ready to go.
Less than a month later, with the divorce proceedings already underway, Mark looks like he might be on the hook for a hefty amount of spousal support. Until he gets a call that could change everything.
The detective called me on the phone and says, I've got some news for you. I found Charity's husband. And I said, Bart, yeah, I know about Bart. And he's going like, no, Trevor Hendry, her real husband. And I'm going like, what?
Trevor Hendry, the guy Charity said she'd been a drug mule for, wasn't just an ex-boyfriend. He was a husband.
And he says, guess what? She illegally married Bart Parcham again after she was married to Trevor Hendry. And then she married you.
4 weddings, 1 divorce. Charity is now married to 3 different men.
They filed a warrant for her arrest and she was taken into custody.
With Charity now charged with bigamy, Mark expects he won't even have to bother about a divorce, let alone spousal support.
Boy, was I shocked. Boy, did I get a kick in the balls. Even after the voided marriage was submitted to Judge McDonald in her court, she refused to accept it.
Mark fires his attorney and seeks out a tougher advocate.
When Mark called me, every petition that they had filed with the court was getting shut down and denied. It was shocking. Mark was ordered to pay $40,000 as a cash settlement. He was ordered to give her a car. He was also ordered to give other cash settlements with regard to the decree.
At one point in time, I just said, Charity Parcham is not my legal wife. And I locked my heels and I dug in and I said, I'm not paying another dime.
But this only makes things worse.
The judge held me in contempt of court. There were 5 or 6 orders of contempt.
Mark faces at least 1.5 years behind bars.
Essentially, Charity told the court what she wanted and the court granted it.
At last, Mark's side catches what should be a break in the criminal court.
Charity pled guilty to bigamy, and Judge McDonald still didn't rescind her orders.
Montgomery County Judge Patrice McDonald has ordered Athens to pay $96,000 to Parcham by tomorrow or face jail time.
We filed an emergency stay, and we were requesting that the Court of Appeals freeze all of the trial court proceedings.
The appellate court overrode Judge McDonald's decision and dismissed it. Told him, basically, leave this man alone. Charity had scammed over $425,000 from me. I had lost funds in over $220,000 in legal fees. Everything that I had, all my retirement, was gone. I mean, I lost everything.
Charity gets 4 years, but not in prison.
She walks away with probation, not a day in jail. After all the people she's hurt, where's the justification in that?
In spite of all that Mark lost, there's one precious and irreplaceable thing he managed to win back.
Now that Charity's gone, Mark is a different person. He's not frustrated all the time. it's back to life as normal.
I'm back on the dating scene. I want to try to find somebody that will love my family and give me the same amount of love and attention that I'm going to give her back, because I learned that I deserve that.